December 23, 1969, Los Angeles still believed in tinsel miracles. Hollywood Boulevard glittered, surf rock jingled from every passing convertible, and the Santa Ana winds blew warm enough for people to swap ugly sweaters for sleeveless optimism. On a hill above Los Feliz Boulevard, a Spanish revival mansion watched the city like a half-closed eye. Its red tiles caught sunset and held it hostage, its iron balcony curled in a grin too ornate to be kind. Inside, the Pereira family, doctor, wife, teenage daughter, young son, finished dinner beneath a 12-foot tree drenched in blinking bulbs. Wrapped boxes ringed the trunk. Cinnamon filled the house. The record player scratched through a Nat King Cole LP. From the street, everything looked postcard perfect. At 5:15 p.m., the needle slid into the next track. A neighbor passing on his evening jog heard a single piano chord cut short, followed by a scream that bent the air. He paused, looked up the winding drive, saw no movement in the windows, only twinkling lights dancing to an unheard melody. He ran on. In the city of angels, even screams can sound like applause rehearsals. By dawn, the newspapers would print the bare bones. Respected cardiologist kills wife, wounds children, takes cyanide. They would omit how the Christmas lights never dimmed, how the children crawled past shattered ornaments to escape, how the doctor's final breath smelled of burnt sugar and almond, how the record kept spinning long after everyone stopped listening. They would not mention that the house refused to let the holiday end. Realtors would try to sell it as is, furniture frozen mid-cheer, gifts unopened, stockings bulging like hearts too full of secrets. Prospective buyers would step inside, inhale the stale cinnamon, feel December 23rd clamp around their ribs, and walk out hollow-eyed, leaving the place to its suspended December. Years bled into decades. Vandals called it the Murder Mansion, ghost hunters the House of Eternal Christmas. But the lights, wired into a circuit older than the grid, stayed ready to flicker at the first tilt of a switch. Inside, the doctor's leather bag lay on the ottoman exactly where he left it. His wife's lipstick print still kissed the rim of a half-finished Cabernet. Time in Los Feliz moved forward everywhere except behind that warped mahogany door. This is not just the tale of one brutal night. It is the echo that night left inside plaster and bone, the way grief can turn architecture into a gramophone looping one final track. Step careful. The corridor breathes pine and peroxide. Somewhere upstairs, a child stocking rocks on its hook, waiting for a father who will never finish filling it. And down the hall, just past the parlor where poinsettias shriveled into mothwing dust, the physician's ghost keeps perfect time with a metronome only he can hear. Welcome to Chapter 1. Chapter 1. The doctor's diagnosis. You start climbing the drive just after dusk, rental car idling behind you like a patient who'd rather not see the specialist. The street lamp at the foot of Glendower Place flickers, its bulb paled by smog and indifference, but still bright enough to warn. Houses this high in the hills watch more than they welcome. You kill the engine, pocket the keys. Temperature, 66 degrees. Breeze, mild. On any other night, Los Angeles feels harmless in shirt sleeves. Tonight, even the asphalt exhales cold. Real estate agents' lockbox code slides open with unnerving ease. 3946, the last 4 digits of a defunct clinic line. The padlock pops. Chain slithers metallic down the gatepost like a rattlesnake reconsidering its strike. Hinges yawn. Now nothing separates you from the murder mansion but gravity and curiosity in equal measure. The courtyard beyond seems smaller than the newspaper photos. Ivy ate half the stucco, veins gripping broken mosaics that once spelled bienvenidos. A dead fountain hunkers at center, bowl filled with rainwater thick as tea. Someone threw pennies in years ago. Their copper exteriors grew green scales, tiny metallic fossils. You edge past the fountain, shoes crunching what you pretend is gravel, not bone-dry snail shells. The front door stands cracked open, warped by decades of moisture despite the desert climate. Its stained glass ocular watches you, a rose blooming blood red around a wrought iron crossbar. You push. Hinges complain in soprano, then a bass note answers deep inside, as if the house cleared its throat for a sermon. Foyer, marble tiles, checkerboard under a film of dust, fine as confectioner's sugar. To the right archway, formal dining. To the left, parlor. Straight on, staircase curving up like a spinal column carved from oak. Holiday garland still coils the banister, needles dry enough to crumble under their own weight, yet they hold shape, embalmed by neglect. You inhale, expect mold, find cinnamon. The spice hangs gorgeous and wrong, like perfume on a corpse. It drifts from the dining room where the table waits, settings undisturbed. 4 crystal goblets, 4 linen napkins folded cathedral style, 4 antique silver forks, 1 stained russet halfway up the tine. The record player sits in the corner. Its arm rests, center disc, needle poised but silent. You touch the table. Dust coats your fingertip. Beneath, the mahogany is still glossy. In this house, time floats on the surface but never sinks. Your docu-camera's red tally light winks alive. You whisper time codes, but each syllable hovers around your ear longer than physics should allow. Acoustics here bounce like eager children, except no child's laughter will ever live inside these walls again. You cross to the living room. Christmas tree towers against picture window. Lights unplugged, yet bulbs faintly phosphorescent as if feeding off moon. Gifts wait beneath, torn edge evidence of earlier intrusions. But one box remains wrapped, white paper, red ribbon immaculate. Tag reads, "To Deborah, love Daddy." Deborah was 5. She survived. She grew up somewhere far from California, changed her surname, never returned. Yet her gift refuses to age out of expectation. A soft tap echoes overhead. Maybe thermal settling, maybe a raccoon, maybe footsteps. You glance up stairwell. Every third bulb along garland flashes to life. Blown fuse resurrected or unseen hand remembering routine. Pulse flares at throat. You remind yourself ghosts obey narrative tropes, not licensed reality. Then again, you came seeking story, and stories reward attention. Cameras rolling, you mount the stairs. Each tread whines, then quiets under weight, grateful for company. Halfway up, you spot dark flecks on newel post. Rust? You sniff. Iron and sugar. Dried blood laced with the faint almond scent of cyanide. Combine festive and fatal in perfect Yuletide harmony. Landing. Hall stretches both directions. To right, master bedroom where Dr. Harold Pereira smashed his wife's skull with a ball-peen hammer. Police never recovered the hammer. They found only crescent fractures, spatter-decorating porcelain angels on the dresser. To left, children's shared room where he swung next. Misjudged angle, grazed his son's temple. Failed to kill either child in full. Woke enough to understand what he had become, he retreated down hall to his study, unwrapped cyanide capsules, souvenir from post-war medical conference, and washed them down with brandy under the glow of blinking lights. He died before police arrived, but not before dragging his wife's body into the hallway, arranging her arms in a loose embrace of the air. You turn left first. Children's door stands ajar. A low hum issues from within. The electric purr of a nightlight still plugged to wall, bulb barely glowing after decades, filament refusing extinction. On twin beds lie dust silhouettes where smaller bodies once quaked under blankets. At window, frost dusts glass from inside though the night is warm. You feel it. The cold of a December that never finished. Your light catches movement on dresser mirror, your reflection delayed by half a second. Eyes darker, mouth parted. Camera screen shows normal feed, mirror disobeys. You step closer. Reflection corrects itself, but leaves behind a smear like breath. You wipe. Finger streak opens clear glass view to corridor behind where no one stands. Yet on the vanity marble appears a dot of red, fresh, viscous. Gravity pulls it into a downward teardrop. You back away. Dot remains, unbelonging. Down the hall, the master bedroom door slams. Not wind, no windows open. Echo booms like a gavel. Cinnamon intensifies, spiced with something rusty. Camera shakes in your grip. You swallow narrations, decide to leave that door closed for now. Instead, you track to study at hallway's end. Door stands half open, handle tarnished. You push. Study's interior lights snap on, though switches stay down. Bookshelf walls, fireplace yawning cold, and on desk a physician's bag, black leather, hinges brass. You approach and notice the hinged flap already unsnapped, as though expecting inspection. Inside, medical implements, stethoscope, ampoules empty but labeled Diprovan, morphine, cyanide, glass unbroken, labels crisp, as if restocked yesterday. A small music box rests atop the bag, mahogany, silver key, lid carved with angels holding holly. You wind. It clicks slow. Melody rises. Silent night at waltz tempo, undercut by mechanical rasp. Notes loop but refuse to finish phrase, stuck on sleep in heavenly before grinding back to start. Time captured in stutter, like the last breath before remorse. Behind you, a shadow drifts across study wall, elongated silhouette of man raising arm. You spin, corridor empty. Camera feed blank momentarily, black frame, then returns. Battery indicator full, yet flickers red. You retreat to foyer, descend stairs 2 at a time. Christmas lights on tree flare alive, every bulb brilliant red. Glow paints living room walls arterial. Under tree, Deborah's gift trembles. Paper splits along tape. Ribbon slithers loose, lid lifts. Inside box, the missing hammer, head crusted brown, handle polished by old sweat. Flash of movement in picture window glass, 2 child silhouettes outside, hands pressed to pane, watching. Yet the street beyond shows no bodies, only reflection. Tree bulbs wink off. House exhales cinnamon one last time, then drops to stillness. You flee courtyard, lockbox chain clanging as gate slams. On street, your rental's passenger side mirror shows the mansion dark. No lights, but reflection in mirror flickers with red bulbs you can't see direct. You adjust mirror, image corrects. You face house, dark, mirror, lights, house, dark. Then a tiny sparkle inside foyer, Nat King Cole crooning from a record that still spins. You drive downhill with headlights off until city lights swallow the rear view. Behind you, high in the velvet dark, the FELIZ murder mansion waits. Christmas unwavering, music looping, door slightly ajar for the next curious trespasser, ready to learn that some nights refuse to die, even when the doctor says time of death. Chapter 2. Open house, closed time. Morning smears gold across the Hollywood hills, but on Glendower Place, the sun appears filtered, as though the mansion's dusty windows strain daylight into the sepia of forgotten reels. You arrive precisely at 10, clipboard in hand, playing the part of real estate photographer hired to capture vintage charm for a bank-owned foreclosure listing. The ruse earns you a skeleton set of keys and exactly 90 minutes of solitude, long enough, you hope, to map the place in higher resolution than shaky night footage. Gate groans obedience. A Santa Ana breeze rattles dried ivy, releasing a peppery smell like scorched sage. Your first photo frames the fountain. Rainwater gone stagnant, copper pennies blooming turquoise halos. Through the viewfinder, the pool looks deeper than last night, bottomless actually, a dark mirror offering back a warped sky. You snap the shot, glance without glass, and see only 6 inches of sludge. Depth changes when witnessed through lenses. Inside, foyer dust patterns reveal tracks. Your footprints from hours earlier, sweeping arcs of your hurried exit. Yet there are others. Smaller shoe prints veering off toward the parlor, crisp edges showing no collapse overnight. You crouch. The tread matches a 1970s child's sneaker, waffle sole still popular 50 years later, but these prints are too narrow for modern youth. They lead to the tree. Lights on the Douglas fir remain dark, bulbs dead again. You kneel by Deborah's box, lid sealed, ribbon retied, paper uncreased. The hammer has vanished. Camera shutter winks, 3 rapid frames, though your finger never touched the button. You review images. Gift remains closed, but in photo 2 the ribbon slithers. In photo 3 lid lifts a hair. Sequence lasts 1/10 second. You look up, box still flush, ribbon motionless. The camera grows warm, metal smelling faintly of ozone. Somewhere upstairs a door clicks open. You steady breath, proceed toward kitchen, territory unexplored last night. Linoleum checks board patterns with cigarette burns. Refrigerator doors ajar, white enamel spattered brown. Inside sits a cake stand covered by glass dome. Beneath, a single slice of fruitcake leans, marbled with candied peel. No mold. You tap dome. Condensation beads inside as though refrigeration persisted. Recorder mic picks up faint tick-tick, heartbeat of a timer you can't locate. You follow tick to pantry. Door stuck. You shove. Hinge shrieks. Shelves stacked with canned peaches. Campbell's soup labels sun-bleached but intact. On floor, metronome lies toppled, pendulum knocking against tin lid. You lift it. Gears grind to halt, silence pooling sudden like turning off an air conditioner you'd forgotten was running. House listens. Your own pulse drums louder. Flash from corridor. A mirror. You pivot. Nothing. Only spice-scented air. But camera display shows a blur shaped like a lab coat disappearing around corner toward staircase. You chase. Landing smells heavier, daylight warm. Cinnamon reactivated by sun through cracked skylight. At master bedroom threshold, your phone buzzes. Call from Harold P. Home. Signal shows 0 bars. You swipe decline. Buzzing stops. Ringtone echoes 3 notes of Silent Night. Door stands wide. Bed stripped, once white sheets bundled beside dried maroon stains. On nightstand lies the hammer, blood crust now gone, metal polished bright. Handle still sweats heat. You lift it inside evidence bag, seal zip. Across hall, children's door closed. You approach, guilt thick, hand on knob. Wood resonates with faint thudding like small fists beating from inside. You twist. Room holds no kids' beds. Instead, rows of hospital gurneys line walls, IV bottles suspended, tubes ending in emptiness. Cardiology monitors blink 99% battery, though cables severed. Screens replay a frozen echocardiogram of a single oversized heart, each ventricle contracting hornet fast, spikes topping then flattening again in endless loop. Above headboard of first gurney hangs a Polaroid. Photo of you kneeling by Deborah's gift. Image taken minutes earlier from ceiling vantage impossible to reach. Heartbeat graph syncs to your pulse. You test by slowing breath. Flatlines stretch. You hold lungs empty. Alarm tone bleats. You inhale. QRS spikes. House is reading you. Camera autofocus hunts. Display glitches. For one frame, each gurney occupied by translucent form. A woman with shattered cheek, a boy with temple bruise, a girl clutching unopened present, and the doctor's silhouette looming overhead, face blotched by cyanide's froth. Second frame, beds empty, monitors still. Something scratches beneath first gurney. You lift sheet hem. Stocking foot of small mannequin jerks back. You drop sheet, heart banging like kicked bass drum. Footprints stain linoleum, little ones, wet with dark syrup smelling of almond paste. Back to hallway. Hammer heavy in bag. A new sound. Nat King Cole returning mid-verse, warbled by degraded vinyl but echoing perfect warmth. Sleep in heavenly peace. You descend steps. Record player spins though stylus stands upright, not touching groove. Sound emerges from within tree itself, Bulbs flicker in time to chorus. Gifts rustle. Deborah's box lifts lid. Hammer leaps from evidence pouch, clanks onto tiles, slides across floor toward box. You catch mid-roll. The metal singes gloves hot. Tree bulbs pop one by one, strobing crimson. On final pop house, resets to darkness. Record ceases. Hammer cools. You sprint to foyer, intent on leaving when front door splits. 3 neat splits lengthwise, wood peeling as if struck from interior by the flat end of hammerhead. Splinters fall outward. Now door stands ajar again, but wrong width. House breathing out pieces of itself. Your 90-minute window nearly gone. You retreat across courtyard, pulling chains, resetting lockbox. As you drive, camera's SD indicator blinks. You scroll files, none exist. Storage empty except one new clip. You tap play. Camera perspective floats behind you on stairs, zooms into master doorway. Hammer on pillow, then scoreboard heart monitor overlay. Clip ends with shot of children's room beds, filling with gift-wrapped mannequins whose mouths open in silent carol. SD card write protected now. You park at Griffith Park Overlook, attempt to upload footage. Files corrupt. Only still image remains. Polaroid you saw earlier pinned above gurney, now digital. You kneeling by tree, behind you doctor's apparition raising hammer, mouth open like he is calling a code the hospital never answered. As sun dips, you catch warmth of cinnamon on wind, though you are miles from mansion. Every light blinking on Los Angeles grid suddenly skips 3 times in quick succession. Chapter 3. Film that develops itself. You've driven in circles for an hour, trying to shake the smell of cinnamon that lingers in air vents and on your clothes. It's after 5 when you swing off Los FELIZ Boulevard toward a strip mall photo lab, the only place still promising 1-hour processing for real 35mm film. Your hands haven't stopped shaking since the mansion's door splintered, and you need proof in your palms before daylight dies. Inside, humming fluorescents make your temples throb. The clerk, a silver-haired hobbyist named Roy, welcomes you with a nod. Scanning negatives or prints? Both, you mutter, sliding the roll you shot last night across the glass counter. Your digital card corrupted, but the backup Canon 35mm hung on your neck the whole time. You never clicked the shutter, yet the lever sits advanced, frame counter at 12. The roll should be blank, but nothing about the house obeys blanks. Roy feeds the cartridge into his Noritsu. Film threads, machine whirs. On the preview monitor, tiny thumbnails bloom, candle-lit dining room, close-up of hospital gurneys you swear you never saw last night, a long exposure streak of red bulbs flaring around the tree, and one image of a cluttered medical office you don't recognize at all. In each frame, a faint silhouette, doctor-shaped, stands mid-motion, turning its head toward the camera like it knew where you'd aim. Roy frowns. You shoot on tripod. These aren't blurred. I had a stabilizer. You lie. He shrugs. Be ready in 70. He shuts the lab door behind him. Neon open sign flips to closed, though it's still business hours. Through the small window, you watch him lift each negative to a backlight, lips moving as if counting pulses per minute. His hand pauses on the last frame, eyes widening. He crosses himself, something you'd never expect in sun-bleached LA. You pace the lobby, scrolling useless signal bars, 2 barred, 3, 0, bouncing like arrhythmia on a faulty EKG. Each time it drops, Silent Night dings the notification tone. You change ringtone, it changes back 3 times. 70 minutes stretch to 90. Finally, Roy returns, envelope trembling. I'm refunding the fee, and I'd like you to take these, destroy them, and never come back. The prints, glossy 4x6s, are ice cold. First photo, the master bed, hammer on pillow, but the timestamp corner reads 12 to 23, 21, 05 to 17 p.m., 52 years to the minute before the murders. Second photo, the doctor's study. yet the lamp shows a modern LED bulb. Third, pantry shelves, now restocked with Red Bull and protein powder. Fourth, children's room, beds made with 2020 superhero comforters. It's as if the house has begun seeding its own future and past into chemical emulsion, crossing eras like arteries. On the final print, the frame is almost black, except for your own face faintly reflected in a beveled mirror, eyes blacked out, mouth smiling too wide. Roy clutches his chest. That last one wasn't on the negatives. It printed anyway. He points to the Noritsu. Its ready light pulses 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, SOS in accidental Morse. You thank him, shove prints into satchel, and leave before he reconsiders calling police. Back in the car, you call Claire. Deborah now, older, living under a new first name you tracked through property filings. She picks up on third ring. You went inside, she says without hello. I have photos. I know. The tree lights flickered in my dreams. They always do when someone trespasses. Her voice trembles between fury and fatigue. Did you take anything? I tried. The hammer keeps returning. A silence heavier than confession. It wants a trade, she whispers. Dad believed in transactional medicine. Every cure costs something equal. He bled our house dry of time and left the meter running. If the hammer comes back, it's waiting for the right balance. I found children's beds turned into gurneys. That's new. She exhales. The house escalates when ignored. Realtors boarded it. It replaced boards with memories. You film it. It develops its own negatives. It is a doctor's heart, diagnosing, pumping horror until the blockage clears. You picture the echocardiogram loop. How do we cut off circulation? Christmas Eve, she says. Same minute Dad started. Lights must go dark before the record loops. Someone inside has to flip the breaker and keep it down until dawn. Tonight's the 23rd. She almost laughs. House only pretends calendar days. Every day inside is the 23rd, every night the 24th. You have 6 hours. Your stomach knots. Will you meet me? No. Her answer cracks. But I'll stay on the line while you're inside. If it gets you, maybe my voice keeps you human long enough to pull the switch. You glance at Satchel. Photos feel heavier than steel. Send me the breaker layout. I'll text. Bring fresh bulbs. It rewires circuits to protect itself. As you drive back uphill, dusk bleeds lavender. Gate greets your headlights already ajar. Someone's inside, maybe memory, maybe manifest trespasser. You shoulder Satchel, hammer in gloved grip, phone on speaker. Claire breathes in your ear. Remember, she says, houses don't kill, people do. Treat the mansion like a surgeon, it knows every artery. She pauses. When it whispers your name, whisper mine back. You push the door. Hinges sing welcome. Cinnamon floods lungs. Record needle drops. Time for open heart surgery on a house that never healed. Chapter 4. Circle of lights. The foyer receives you as though it had been holding its breath for your return. Bulbs in the chandelier flicker to life, one after another, clockwise, until every arm glows red instead of white, turning the marble tiles into a roiling wine-dark sea. The door closes without touching you, sealing daylight out with a damp thud. From the phone's speaker, Claire's breathing tethers you to a safer timeline. Breaker panels in the sub-basement, she says, behind the laundry chute. Keep the call open. GPS will drop once you're below grade. You pivot into the dining room for bearings. The Nat King Cole record, silent a moment ago, now spins at 45 RPM, too fast, warping velvet croon into chipmunk hysteria. Table settings have multiplied, not 4 placemats, but 8, then 12, then 24 with every blink. Each new plate bears a name in looping fountain pen ink. Harold P., Deborah, Miguel, you. Your chair sits at the head, knife already blood-tipped, fork pristine. Cinnamon swells until your eyes water. You step back. The chair skitters away as though nudged by invisible knees. The tree in the parlor blinks once, every third bulb crimson, every other bulb dead, and the entire house seems to exhale in time. Somewhere upstairs, glass shatters, followed by the padded thump of small shoes sprinting across carpeting that hasn't felt living weight in 50 years. "It's making decoys," Claire warns. "Ignore the upstairs, straight to the basement." The stairwell down. At the rear of the kitchen, a narrow door appears that you don't remember. Slate blue paint, brass knob. It wasn't in last night's footage, yet bears decades of scuff marks. You open it and are greeted by 20 wooden steps, descending into complete dark. A single fluorescent tube pops on at the bottom, green as hospital corridors. Halfway down, the phone signal dies, call dropping into a sea of static shaped like sleigh bells. You continue. Every fifth tread creaks a C-sharp, like the house is tuning for a finale. The sub-basement smells of bleach and embalming fluid. White tiles reflect that sour green light. Their grout lines form a grid the size of coffins. Along one wall, washers so old their dials still read, rinse, mangle, starch. Above them, the laundry chute hatch yawns, a black square breathing lint. To the right, a breaker box taller than you crouches behind chicken wire, padlock polished and new. Textbook slasher instinct says, leave. Journalist instinct says, open the box. You choose the latter, smashing the padlock with the hammer. It gives after 3 blows, metal ringing C-sharp each time. Hinges groan. Inside, rows of bakelite switches stare like toddler teeth, each labeled with hand-painted plates: tree, record, lights main, heart, cinnamon, doctor. None of these should exist on a 1960s electrical panel. You flip lights main. Nothing. Flip record. Nat King Cole cuts off upstairs, but a different song begins, something orchestral, rising from ductwork. You flip tree. Parlor bulbs flare once in protest, visible through a dusty transom window, then reignite brighter. The house rejects standard surgery. It wants organ transplants. One switch remains larger than the rest, painted red and bolted in position. Circle. Padlock dangles unlatched as if waiting. You reach. Before your fingers touch metal, the laundry chute rattles. A wrapped present slides out, hits washer lid, lands at your feet. White paper, red ribbon. Tag, to you, open now. You back away. The present follows, dragged by ribbon as though an unseen child tugs the bow. The hammer in your hand twitches toward it, magnetized. You holster the hammer in belt loop, scoop the gift with gloved hands, and hurl it back up chute. Hollow scrapes echo upward, and the package thunks onto the floor behind you. Ribbon unties itself. Lid rises. Inside, Polaroids freshly developed, 8 identical shots of you flipping each breaker, timestamps in tomorrow's date. In frame 9, your body lies on basement tiles, face turned, eyes empty black. Looming behind, the doctor, cyanotic lips peeled into sermon smile, holding your severed phone line like an umbilical. You stuff photos in satchel, slam gift lid, tape it shut with gaffer. Breath frosts, though basement thermometer reads 64. You hammer the circle padlock. First strike dents shackle. From the duct above, a child giggles. Breakers off, but the lights are inside us. Second strike shatters lock. You yank switch down. Entire house sighs, every board settling, every unseen music box winding down. Fluorescent tube overheard fizzles out, total blackout. In the dark, you hear a metronome, tick, 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 coming closer. You pull phone, screen glows faint, battery suddenly at 6%, no signal. But Bluetooth flickers, AirPod Pereira, discoverable. You connect. Claire's voice bursts through tiny speaker, ragged. I feel him waking. You need to run. Switch is down. Then he'll come for balance. Basement stairs quickly. The corridor heart phone light shows basement far wall splitting like ribcage, revealing a corridor lined with tinsel garland. At its end pulses a red glow, an oversized, translucent anatomical heart suspended by Christmas light arteries. Each beat makes the bulbs along garland flash. You step forward despite reason, hammer raised. Heartbeat quickens. Da-thum, da-thum. Clear gelatin walls reveal loops of film strip instead of muscle fiber, images of every intruder ever recorded inside this house, playing forward, backward, in desperate splice. You spot your own face mid-blink, then Claire as a child, then Dr. Pereira, hammer poised. The heart is the projector, the pivot point of the house's endless December. You swing. Hammer sinks into jelly, splashing celluloid across tiles. Heart spasms, tries to reseal. You strike again and again until film guts spill like silver eels, lights along corridor burst, rain glass. Sudden quiet, not silence but the hush before applause. Above, every light in mansion finally dies. Extraction. You bolt back through the laundry room, upstairs that now lag under phantom resistance. Foyer dark as tar. You find front handle, unlatches easily. Outdoors, moon paints driveway ash white. The gate stands wide. Phone buzzes. Claire's text. Breaker stay down. You reply, yes. Send arrow spins, then fails. Icon jams into offline state. Battery drops to 1%. From upstairs, a single note rings out, a piano key you know too well. Then 3 soft footsteps cross hallway where no floorboards remain. Someone whispers, come back, one more switch. You sprint through gate, it slams, chain tangling while locking itself. Phone dies, camera battery too. You toss hammer over fence, it sticks inside ivy, disappears. Engine roars to life. Rear view mirror shows house entirely dark for the first time in 5 decades. No lights, no movement. Yet in tail light's reflection, every window glows red. 2 children's silhouettes wave as you drive away. Miles later, signal returns. Claire texts, tree is dark in my dreams. For now, it sleeps. Stay away until Christmas passes. You reply with a selfie to prove you're alive. Front camera shutters, preview loads, your eyes fine. But behind left shoulder, Nat King Cole's record gently spins in the back seat of your car. Chapter 5. Rebound Rhythm. Rain chases you down the 5 freeway, rapid taps on the windshield mimicking the metronome that haunted the mansion's basements. 2 exits, shy of downtown, your dashboard stereo snaps alive, though the key is already off and the rental's Bluetooth memory is wiped every ignition. Sleep in heavenly peace. Nat King Cole again, but slower, submerged, as if the cassette were drowning in caramel. You fumble for the volume dial, mute clicks to 0, yet the croon continues, emanating now from the footwell, then from the air vents, then from within your skull. Pull to the shoulder. Hazard lights flare. 3 blinks, pause, 3 blinks. House code shadowing you miles from its hill. Phone screen remains black. Battery expired the moment the breaker dropped. You breathe until the song fades below the pulse quivering in your wrists. Windshield message. A fingertip trace appears in condensation. Go back. Letters backward so you can read them from inside. They vanish as quickly as lungs warm the glass. The second trace writes trade, then adds an arrow curving U-turn shaped. You accelerate instead. Griffith Observatory parking lot sits deserted except for a single black SUV whose hazard lights mimic your own. A figure paces beside it, a tall woman in tan parka sewn with National Park Service patches. She looks out of place against the Art Deco dome as though reality slipped and borrowed a ranger from Yosemite. She waves you over. You the journalist? You nod, forcing calm. Who are you? Dr. Simone Reyes, seismologist. She taps the SUV roof. USGS picked up microquakes on the hill the last 2 nights. Epicenter pinpoints that murder house. You almost laugh. That's not geology, Doc. She shrugs. Tell that to my instruments. the hills vibrating at exactly 60 beats per minute, human resting heart rate. The phrase "circle of lights" flickers across your memory, each breaker label in the sub-basement pulsing on beat. You share only the essentials with Reyes: impossible temperature pockets, self-playing record, electrical autonomy. She listens with stoic interest, entering notes into a rugged tablet. Screen reflection shows crimson ghosts in her eyes until she tilts it away. "There's a big mains conduit under the property," she says. "If that house is drawing grid power off books, I can kill it at the feeder vault. But someone has to open the vault from inside. Two-person job, fail-safe, can't be overridden remotely. Go back, trade. Breakers down, yet power still trickles through unknown arteries. Heartbeats require circulation. You pop trunk, searching for supplies. The satchel lies inert. When you unzip it, the Polaroids flutter like trapped moths. New images sit atop the stack. Pictures of Dr. Reyes and you standing exactly where you now stand, breaker gloves in hand, eyes black. Timestamps read 02:06 a.m., 3 hours from now. From deeper in the trunk, a familiar white-wrapped box slides forward, untouched ribbon fluttering despite zero wind. The tag has changed. To Simone, Love Daddy. You slam trunk. "We need to burn that place down." Reyes lifts a brow. "Stone and stucco? Fire won't touch the electrical." You recall the gelatin heart's film strip arteries. "Then we short-circuit it." She nods toward the SUV, pops hatch. Inside, a trolley jack, copper ground spikes, reels of heavy-gauge jumper cable. "Short a 3-phase feed. We'll black out half of Los FELIZ. Small price. 2341 PST. Mist cloaks Glendower Place. The mansion silhouette hunches darker than night. Windows unlit for the first time in decades, yet the smell of cinnamon drifts warm across the gate. The present box sits on the threshold like a doorstep puppy. Dr. Reyes steps clear. You stoop, shove it aside. Gate yawns. No automatic lights greet you, only the hush of a house inhaling. Your shoes slip on wet ivy. You picture film strip veins pulsing underfoot. Reyes shoulders a duffel of copper rods. Feeder vaults in the crawl space under pantry. Blueprints show a manhole. A half-dead bulb flickers in foyer. One quick blink, too slow, one quick. New code. You ignore. Kitchen corridor reeks of bleach again, stronger. The vault hatch is where she predicted, bolted but brittle with rust. You and Reyes muscle it open, wafting a furnace blast of cinnamon-laced heat. Ladders descend into a tunnel, ringing with distant metronome clicks. Underground vault chamber walls glisten with condensation. 3 fat cables hummed yesterday. Now they pulse with visible light, red, green, blue threads twisting like DNA. A locking knife switch the size of a piano key stands between cables and transformer coils painted holly green. Break the switch. The heart starves. Reyes drives copper ground spike into damp soil. Sparks halo the tip where it touches unseen current. This will feed excess voltage into earth. On 3, we pull the knife. She counts. You grip insulated handle. Fingerprints indent melted rubber already shaped like a hammer's impact. On 3, you wrench down. Switch arcs, white flash, thunder buckets up the conduit. The heart of the hill utters a sound halfway between sigh and scream. All light dies. Above, the house unleashes an avalanche of footsteps. Dozens of tiny feet scramble across every floorboard. Bells jingle, ornaments colliding as tree topples. Then silence drunk on its own swiftness. Reyes's headlamp settles on you. Phase 0. Let's finish. Returning to foyer, you find the go-back gift now open. No hammer, just a child's Christmas stocking stitched with SR, Simone Reyes, and still damp with something like almond-scented syrup. She drops copper rod, turning pale. My mother made that. She died 20 years ago. The front door slams. Every window seals with rivulets of dark sap. Tree lights ignite blood red again, though the breaker and feeder lie severed. House runs on memory now, free of the grid, pure cardiac battery. Metronome ticks from dining room, rhythmic but out of time. 66 beats per minute, the seismic signature Reyes logged. Under the table, the heart stands where roast ham spent its final warmth in 1969. Film strip veins now intertwined with tree-light cords, pumping pulses into each bulb. A form coalesces at head of table. Dr. Harold Pereira. Cyan-issued lips parted, cyanide foaming at edges. He raises the hammer, points to stocking. Trade, he rasps. Not from lungs, but through the record player spinning backwards. Reyes steps forward. You want me? You block her. He wants surrogate children, not the living. He wants the story to loop. Cinnamon stench sharpens, spiked with coppery tang. You swing hammer, the one returned to your belt, though you threw it away. It sinks into the film strip heart. Bulbs explode. House shakes. Every doorway yawns, vomiting snapshots that develop mid-air. Each shows potential futures. Reyes collapsed in basement, you clutching cyanide vial, children with black eyes dancing round evergreen. We break the negative, Reyes shouts. She rips film strip from heart, coils it around Spike. You raise hammer again, smash Spike and film into the jagged base of the chandelier that once pulsed red. Short takes, current surges, bulb sockets pop like knuckles. A fireball roars up, wiring chasing film strip vein. Tree ignites, garlands of dry pine flash combustive. Dr. Pereira disintegrates into ash ribbons swirling up stairwell. Nat King Cole slows to half speed, then stops. Sprinklers hiss, first water these walls have felt in decades. Cinnamon steam fills air, but sweetens into ordinary holiday memory. House flatlines. Your ears ring. Reyes drags the last copper coil away from molten heart husk. Breaker labels above basement stairs glow one by one. Lights main, record, heart, cinnamon, doctor, then extinguish in sequence. Final switch, circle, blinks amber, then black. Seismographs miles away return to baseline. Fire crews arrive to find the mansion smoldering but standing. They ask questions, you answer none. Police log trespassing but not arson. The building belonged to no one willing to claim damage. In parking lot triage, Reyes hands you your phone, somehow powered, showing one new text from Claire. Lights stayed dark. Thank you. You look back. The mansion windows stare empty, tree charred into silhouette, star still atop blackened tip like a wound refusing scab. Rain returns, real this time, scrubbing cinnamon from air. You breathe smoke and December sap and feel your pulse shift to your own rhythm again. Yet somewhere behind your ribs a second beat murmurs, faint but certain, one that is not your own. Chapter 6. Echo Ward. Sirens fade into drizzle. Los Angeles is a humming grid again, and the murder mansion has, at last, gone silent. But silence is not absence, it's anesthesia, and every anesthetic wears off. At 03:13 a.m., you jolt awake in a two-bed hospital room at Kaiser Sunset, arm wired to an IV bag, heart monitor beeping your very mortal 68 beats per minute. Dr. Simone Reyes lies in the next bed, oxygen cannula taped beneath her nostrils, charcoal smudges still ringing her eyes. A nurse adjusts Simone's drip, then nods at you. You two are lucky. Smoke inhalation, shock, but no burns. You'll keep overnight for observation. Monitor rhythm steadies. Yet in the hallway, somewhere past oncology, another monitor brands the air with an off-tempo tick. 66 BPM. Staff stride by without concern. You feel every misbeat like a tug on your sutures. A janitor wheels a galvanized mop bucket past the door. A drop of amber liquid plinks into the water, thick, sweet, cinnamon-scented. Your belongings arrive in a clear property bag. Phone, recorder, scorched satchel. Inside, the Polaroids have curled from heat. One new photo tops the deck. A long, peach-tiled hospital corridor lit by failing fluorescence. The timestamp matches 5 minutes from now. In the picture, the far door hangs open. Tinsel garland snakes along handrails. A Christmas tree stands where the code blue crash cart should be. Its lights burn cardinal red. You shove the print under Simone's pillow. Wake up, you hiss, but sedatives keep her deep. Phone vibrates, although it's still in airplane mode. An unknown Bluetooth device beacons. Nat King code AC. You decline pairing. It prompts again, 3 times. Monitor above your bed glitches, cycling through fonts until labels read in cursive: tree, record, heart, circle. Alarms remain silent. Only you can see the text. Nurse call button clicks useless. The janitor parks his bucket outside, knocks softly, 3 knocks, then mutters, "Floors due a polish." Through the crack, you glimpse his badge. Harold P. ENV Services. He's humming "Oh Holy Night," a semitone low. You disconnect leads, peel V-tape. A halo of dark sap oozes from puncture. Heart monitor flatlines, but the hallway machine keeps its 66 beat. You step into corridor. No garland, no tree, ordinary hospital hush. Yet every third ceiling fixture sputters red, then rights itself. At ICU intersection, an unattended ALU crash cart rolls, wheels squeaking a lullaby rhythm. You back away and collide with a glass door labeled Echo Ward, Cardiology Imaging. Inside, a technician pages through scans. Herds of ultrasonic hearts throb across monitors, each pulsing 66. One scan shows a house in cross-section, atrium stairwell, left ventricle dining room, descending aorta laundry chute. The tech looks up, irises rimmed black. "This heart still remembers Christmas," he croaks. Alarms erupt. Code blue, room you just vacated. Back in your bay, nurses perform CPR on a shape beneath the blanket, your bracelet still looped on its wrist. Monitor shows 12/23/1969, 05:17 p.m. The janitor, Dr. Pereira, steps forward, fizzing out of focus each stride. He lifts a defibrillator paddle, face cyanotic, teeth cinnamon-stained. Time of death is diagnosis, he rasps. You shove the crash cart. Wheels hit the photo bag. Polaroids spill, scattering futures. Each print ignites in silent flame, curling away until only ashen timestamps remain. The overhead lights snap to pure white. Dr. Pereira flickers, hammer replaced by clipboard of blank discharge forms. He fades. Flatline tone soft locks into steady 60 BPM heartbeat. Your own. A nurse blinks, confused. "Thought we lost you," then notices you standing alive beside her. She checks chart. Vitals normal. Code blue cancelled. Simone wakes near dawn. "I dreamt the house coughed," she says, like it dislodged something sharp and swallowed air for the first time. You show her the scorch-rimmed envelope, every Polaroid now blank. Only one image refuses erasure, the breaker panel with every switch stamped off and padlocks slagged shut. Simone exhales. Vault still grounded. Circle broken. Circle mending, you answer, but you share the hallway heartbeat detail, the janitor's almond breath. Simone flexes burnt fingers. Maybe that was the rebound rhythm. Hearts do that, PVCs after defibrillation, or arrhythmia before a bigger arrest. Through window blinds, dawn glints off Griffith Observatory. On the horizon, the mansion is hidden by palms, but a faint column of smoke still rises, curling into festive ribbon before wind tugs it apart. Your phone finally syncs. One voicemail, unknown number, time-stamped 02:06 a.m., the moment the house flatlined. Nat King Cole croons backward for 3 seconds, then Claire's voice calm. "Lights are still dark, keep them that way." You pocket the phone, unsure who the message means to comfort, Claire, Simone, or the house itself. The next chapter will decide whether the circle closes or rewrites its circumference. Chapter 7, Starlight Quarantine. Kaiser clears you and Dr. Simone Reyes at noon with a handshake, 2 discharge packets, and 0 mention of phantom janitors. Los Feliz skies glow Pacific blue, no smoke, no sirens, while the murder mansion sits hidden behind jacaranda blooms only locals bother pruning. Simone opens the SUV hatch. The copper grounding spikes lie fused, tips burnt charcoal. She chucks them in a sharps container. House flatlines, hospital glitches, she mutters. If the anomaly jumps hosts again, we'll need containment farther than a city block. Cell towers buzz with Monday chatter. Your phone returns to full bars. 1 SMS from unknown tag. Red Rover again tonight. Attached, a live photo. Frame 1, Griffith Observatory's telescope dome. Frame 2, 0.5s later, same dome, but behind the glass stands a silhouette in a stethoscope, eyes black. You ring Claire. She answers breathless. I dreamed the observatory turned into a snow globe. Kids shook it till stars fell. I woke holding my old stocking. Her voice steadies. Meet at Mount Hollywood summit just after dusk. If the house is charge-traveled, the telescope will aim at the hill. Circuit complete. You ask what to bring. She exhales cinnamon-tinged fear. Mirrors, but pointed at the sky instead of at ourselves. If the heart wants a new host, let it stare at the universe until it forgets ours. Simone snorts. We're gonna blind a ghost with starlight. Claire simply says, ghosts are narcissists. Show them infinity. They dissolve in scale. By twilight, you and Simone haul 8 4x 2-foot mylar panels up the dirt trail behind the observatory. Joggers pass, earbuds shielding them from the lullaby riding thermal drafts. At the summit, an abandoned heliostat pad offers bolts for mounting. You lash mirrors into a crude octagon aimed west toward the mansion's silhouette. Simone wires a car battery to LED flood lamps ringed behind the array, budget light cannon. Orange street glow sparks below. Mansion windows remain black. Yet through binoculars you spot something new. Each charred window frame now hosts reflective plastic stapled inside, makeshift mirrors. The house is staring back. Claire arrives, hood up, clutching the stocking marked SR. Its eyes are open, she murmurs, nodding at the mansion. We open ours wider. 23:30 PST. Simone flips the switch. Flood lamps ignite, pouring white fire onto mirrors that rebound a cone of light across canyon air. Dust motes swirl, revealing a shimmering column aimed straight into the mansion's roof. Heartbeat drums through the ground. 66 BPM, rippling gravel. In the cone, specks coalesce, celluloid fragments rising like burnt snow, twisting into child shapes mid-air, trying to crawl back toward Los Feliz. The beam catches them, flares brighter. Each silhouette contorts, dissolves into pixel ash that drifts upward, joining stars. But a larger shadow forms at beam's base. Dr. Pereira, molten around edges, wielding a hammer forged of negative space. He trudges uphill, footprints smoking in chaparral. Claire plants stocking on ground between him and mirror array. She takes your hand, Simone's too, forming a living barrier. Pereira halts, nostrils flare almond. He raises hammer. Stocking inflates, stuffed suddenly with unseen gifts, then bursts, releasing a cascade of Polaroids. Photos flutter everywhere. December 69, hospital hallway, tonight's summit. They land face up, each flashes bleaching itself until only white rectangles remain. Pereira staggers, skin cracking like drying clay. He lurches toward the beam, narcissist meeting infinity. In the mirror reflection, his eyes turn from black to starlight, pupils flooding with galaxies. He drops hammer. It turns to ash before hitting dirt. Then, with a sigh deeper than the house's midnight exhale, he lifts his hand, 2 fingers peace sign, and evaporates into meteoric dust that the beam funnels skyward. Beam dims, flood lamps hiss dead. Canyon wind normalizes. Your own heart thrums, 72 BPM. Adrenaline. You pull out phone. Unknown device, Nat King codec no longer appears. The text thread ends at tag. Claire kneels, gathering blank Polaroids. Negative cleared. Simone checks portable seismometer, flat baseline. Hill stop shaking. Across the city, the mansion shows no mirror flash now, only dark, coffin quiet. The final ember of cinnamon drifts away on marine breeze. Claire pockets blank photos. Stories end when no reflections survive. You add, then we keep the cameras off and the lights on. She smiles for the first time. Exactly. Above, a meteor streaks, unremarkable to everyone else. To you three, it looks like a Christmas bulb finally burning out. Chapter 8. Bedtime story with the end. Dawn over Los Feliz pours clean sunlight between palm fronds. For the first time in half a century, the mansion on Glendower Place shows nothing behind its windows. Not a twinkle, not a tremor, not the faintest cinnamon haze. Fire inspectors will declare the structure electrically inert. Real estate speculators will pry plywood from the door, only to find the rooms stripped bare. No tree, no record player, not even a scrap of tinsel. Time at last has caught up and packed the holiday away. You, Claire, and Dr. Simone Reyes sit on the observatory lawn, sharing paper cup coffee and a silence cracked only by crows. Simone scrolls a live seismograph feed, 0 anomalies. All quiet on the cardiac front. Claire unfurls the blank Polaroids, every frame still snow-white, and feeds them one by one into the morning breeze. They tumble like benign confetti, land softly, harmless as printer paper. So, Simone says, why don't I feel finished? Because stories like this never die outright. They enter remission. Somewhere a thrift store record waits for a curious needle. An old breaker box hums. A child hums 3 notes of a lullaby they couldn't possibly know. Yet for now the circle is broken, its pulse down to background cosmic static. Claire rises, brushing grass from jeans. Promise me you'll write it all down, she tells you. Not the ghost hunter clickbait. The real lesson. Don't feed mirrors, and don't leave the lights blinking for memory alone. You promised notebook already half full of last night's starlight. Simone snaps a group selfie, lens taped, facing outward at arm's length. In the picture, your eyes look human. The hillside mansion a mute gray smudge, the sky bright and absolutely empty of silhouettes. She posts it to her tiny Twitter feed with one line, heart rate 0 BPM, status stable. If this 6-decade nightmare kept you leaning forward, hit like so the algorithm knows daylight stories matter. Subscribe and ring the little bell so you're here when the next door creaks open. We'll keep the porch light on. And in the comments, drop the creepiest holiday decoration you've ever seen. Maybe we'll weave it into the next tale. With your permission, of course. Because circles only stay broken when we stay awake together. Sleep well, but keep one strip of matte tape ready just in case.